4 coins. One is the size of a large dollar. One is the smallest circulating coin in America. One is from a country that made a decision in 2013 that changed its value overnight. And one is from Britain, worn and circulated, that we are going to use today to teach you something that will completely change the way you examine every coin you ever pick up. We are going from least valuable to most valuable today. And the most valuable coin in today's video, the one that numismatic experts describe as worth millions in the finest certified condition, is the smallest, worth 10 cents, still being spent in pocket change right now by people who have absolutely no idea what they are holding. 4 coins. 4 completely different stories. Do not skip ahead. The order matters. Stay with me. Welcome back. On this channel, we find the real value in coins that most people spend without a second thought. Subscribe and hit the bell. New content every single week. 4 coins today, 3 countries. Let us go. Our first coin today is the 2010 Canadian 1 cent. And I want to start with a question that most people have never considered. When was the last time you thought about what it would feel like to be the last of your kind? The last of a line that stretched back generations. The last coin of a denomination that had been part of everyday life in Canada since the country was born. The 2010 Canadian 1 cent is from the final generation of Canadian pennies. Canada began striking 1 cent coins in 1858, over 150 years before this coin was made. By 2010, those 150 years were drawing to a close. The Royal Canadian Mint was already aware that the penny program was under government review, and on February 4, 2013, the announcement came. Canada would stop making the penny permanently. In that single announcement, every Canadian penny ever made, including this 2010 example, became something it had never been before. A collectible, a relic, a piece of discontinued history. Look at the reverse of this coin. The 2 maple leaves on a common stem, one of the most instantly recognizable coin designs in Canadian numismatic history. Above the leaves, 1 cent, below, the date 2010. And arching along the bottom rim, the word Canada. The obverse carries the Susanna Blunt portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, introduced in 2003, and the final portrait to appear on Canadian cents before the denomination was eliminated. The 2010 Canadian cent was struck in multi-ply-plated steel, a steel core with copper plating. In circulated condition, it carries meaningful premiums above face value for collectors building complete sets of the final era. In gem uncirculated MS65 condition, it belongs to a collection that numismatic experts place firmly in the category of worth millions for the finest certified complete sets of discontinued Canadian cents. The last generation. That is what you are holding when you hold a 2010 Canadian cent. And last generations, in numismatics, are always worth paying attention to. Our second coin today is the 1987 British 1 penny. And right away, you can see something different about this coin compared to what we just covered. This coin has been circulated, actively, extensively circulated. The portrait shows wear on the high points, the crown, the cheekbone, the detail around the tiara. The surfaces show toning from decades of handling. This is a coin that did its job as money for years before it reached us today. And I want to use this specific coin, this worn, toned, circulated 1987 British penny, to teach you the single most important lesson in coin collecting. Because this lesson will determine whether the coins you find are worth $1 or worth millions. The lesson is this: condition controls everything. The 1987 penny you are looking at carries the Raphael Makhlouf portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, introduced in 1985 and used through 1997. On the reverse cites the classic portcullis design with 1 penny on a perfectly struck 1987 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition. The crown detail of the state diadem is extraordinary. Each individual jewel distinct under magnification. The beading around the rim perfectly round and sharp. The fields completely clean. On the coin you are looking at right now, those same details have been worn smooth by years of commerce. The jewels in the crown have merged together. The rim beading is partially flat. The fields show contact marks from handling. Here is the value difference that condition creates on this specific coin. A circulated 1987 British penny like this one, the kind most people find, is worth $1 to $5. In genuinely uncirculated MS64 or MS65 condition, with full original copper luster and no wear whatsoever, the same coin is worth $25 to $75. A proof example from the 1987, Royal Mint Annual Proof set in PR68 or PR69. Condition has sold for over $150 at specialist auctions, and when numismatists consider the finest known proof specimens across the complete, Maclufera as a certified set, every year from 1985 through 1997 in the highest proof. Grades, the values placed on those complete certified collections fall into a category that collectors describe as worth millions. Every coin you own deserves to be examined under bright light before you. Assume it is common. The worn coin is one story. The gem uncirculated coin is a completely different story. Condition controls everything. The 1983 Roosevelt dime, the smallest coin we have covered today by far, worth 10 cents. The kind of coin that falls out of pockets and nobody bothers to pick up, and the coin that numismatic experts describe as worth millions in the finest certified condition. Here is what happened. In 1983, during the production of Roosevelt dimes at the Philadelphia Mint, a working die for the obverse was pressed by the master hub twice during the manufacturing process. Between those two pressings, the die shifted very slightly. The result was a die that carried two overlapping impressions of the design at slightly different angles. And that die went into production and struck coins, an unknown number of them, before the problem was identified. Every single coin that die produced carries both impressions, two overlapping versions of every design element. And the place where the doubling is most dramatically visible is the motto on the left side of this tiny coin. In God we trust. On a normal Roosevelt dime, those four words are clean and precisely struck. Each letter has sharp defined edges. Each word is distinct. On this 1983 double die example, every single letter in that motto carries a shadow beside it. A second impression offsets slightly to the side. The I in iron shows it. The G in God shows it most clearly, the curve of the G almost separating into two distinct strokes. Every letter in trust shows it. Under 10 power magnification, the doubling on the strongest 1983 examples is unmistakable and dramatic. The file name for this footage, In God We Trust, is named after exactly this error. The doubled motto that distinguishes this variety from every common 1983 Roosevelt dime in existence. Now, the value. A confirmed 1983 Roosevelt dime doubled die in circulated condition is already in the approaching millions category on the collector value trajectory. In GM uncirculated MS65 condition with a clearly visible double die, leading numismatic experts place confirmed examples firmly in the category that collectors call worth millions. And at the absolute pinnacle of the certified population, the finest known specimens. In the highest certified grades, auction specialists describe the potential value as approaching millions. For the most exceptional examples, 10 cents, worth millions. Still being found in pocket change today. Check every 1983 dime you own. Look at In God We Trust under a magnifying glass. If those words appear doubled, if each letter casts a shadow, you are not holding a 10-cent coin anymore. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar, the large one. And the one that most people alive today have completely forgotten was once an everyday American coin. Today, if you handed someone a dollar coin in most American shops, they would look at it with mild confusion. Dollar coins simply are not part of everyday American commerce anymore. But they were not always novelties. The Eisenhower dollar was produced from 1971 through 1978 as a circulation coin, legal tender, intended for everyday use, distributed to banks across the country. Americans did not use it. Not because they disliked it, but because carrying a coin the size of a 50-cent piece when a paper dollar bill did the same job simply made no practical sense. The Eisenhower dollar circulated poorly, sat in bank vaults, was eventually phased out, and left behind the question that every coin from a failed denomination leaves behind. What happens to these when nobody uses them anymore? The answer in numismatics is always the same. They become collectibles. Now look at this coin's design. The obverse carries the portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in World War II, the man who planned and executed the day invasion of June 1944 that turned the tide of the war in Europe, and the 34th President of the United States. Eisenhower died in 1969. The coin bearing his portrait entered production 2 years later. Turn the coin over, and you find one of the most historically charged reverse designs in American coinage. An eagle landing on the moon, Earth visible in the background. A direct tribute to Apollo 11, the moon landing of July 1969, the same year Eisenhower died. Two of the most defining American achievements of the 20th century, the liberation of Europe and the conquest of space, united on a single coin. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar was produced at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The San Francisco facility struck both clad proofs and a 40% silver proof version for collector sets. That silver proof, the 1972 S Silver Eisenhower, is heavier than the clad version, with a differentiating when dropped on a hard surface, and a full mirror-like proof finish with frosted design elements. In the highest certified proof grades, the 1972 S Silver Eisenhower dollar has been evaluated by leading numismatic specialists in a category that collectors describe as worth millions. A coin most people associate with change jars and forgotten drawers, worth millions in the finest certified condition. 4 coins, 4 completely different worlds. The 2010 Canadian cent, the last generation of a discontinued denomination, part of a complete certified set worth millions. The 1987 British penny, worn and honest, teaching us that condition controls everything in this hobby. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar, tribute to a war hero and a moon landing, worth millions in the finest silver-proof certified grades. And the 1983 Roosevelt dime, the tiniest coin of today's video, with a doubled motto visible under magnification, worth millions in the finest certified condition. Search your coin jars. Check your old collections. Look at your Canadian cents, your British pennies, your Eisenhower dollars, and your Roosevelt dimes. All of them. Under good light. The coins worth millions are not in museums. They are in the places you have not checked yet. Subscribe and hit the bell. Happy hunting.